Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is a whiskey Thursday night. Actually, it's a what do we call it? A rum Thursday? Thursday rum?
Rum, yeah, rum Thursdays, I guess. Yeah, I was
Rum,
gonna say
rum.
this isn't Tuesday or Wednesday. Man, we're going all week, folks. We're going all week.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to M&J Army Mash and Journey Whiskey Club single barrel selection live here with Scott and I. We're going to bring in a couple special guests here. Before we get into these very special rums from Rolling Fork, we'll learn a little bit more about what Rolling Fork does. We actually have Jordan, the founder of Rolling Fork, that's going to be coming on with us and tasting through some of these really special barrels with us. You guys will kind of figure out, you guys will learn, what these were aged in a little bit. And we'll see if we could pick something out really good for you guys. And to help us along, he's no longer the whiskey saint tonight. He is the rum saint. The man that has more Foursquare bottles than anyone I know is Darrell Stewart. How we doing, Darrell?
Up, you gotta hit the unmute button.
You gotta hit the unmute button, buddy.
Sorry. No, thanks for having me, man. This is gonna be a blast. You know me with rum, so as soon as I heard that, I was sold.
All right, so without further ado, let's bring in the founder of Rolling Fork here. It is Mr. Jordan. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, y'all. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Very welcome. Thanks for jumping on with us and being able to talk through these a little bit. Before we kind of dive into the samples here, why don't you tell us a little bit about the start and the birth of Rolling Fork? How did that come about?
Okay. So let me get a bottle down for the start since we're going down that road. Okay. So actually, yeah, I still have one. Nice. So we actually started sourcing rum in 2016. So it was me and one business partner who is a Wathen from the Wathen distilling family in Kentucky. We're both based out of Kentucky, so clearly we probably should have just bought a lot of whiskey at that time. But we thought we were being smart and clever. And, our other thing that when looking at the market in 2016, again, we were idiots. We were like, there's plenty of whiskey out there. Clearly, no one needs any more MGP labels. Fast forward 7 years and we were totally wrong on that. So, my business partner likes to point that one out to me about every week. But
yeah.
When we looked at the market, we were like, what do we love and what do we think there's not enough of? And for us at the time, it was rum. We loved high-end rums, but at that time, if you wanted something really nice and high-end, you were importing, gray market from a website in the UK. You were hoping it got through customs. You were paying an insane amount for shipping. And, it just wasn't a great experience if you really liked high-end rum. And we thought in the US market at that time, there wasn't really a lot of distribution or retail of like what I would call the high-end rums, right? I could go get Bacardi spiced or whatever on the shelf, but I wasn't going to get a Foursquare bottling. I wasn't going to find any awesome Jamaican pot still rums available on the shelf. So for us, we were like, well, that seems like an opportunity. And how hard can it be to import, rum? Again, that was a very stupid idea, thought as well. Totally.
That sounds like the famous
it turns out there's a shitload of paperwork, and the government gets their taxes at multiple levels, which is amazing. That's what I love. So, but anyways, we persevered. We figured out all the process. We've got it pretty streamlined now. And our goal is really to just bring in cool rums to the United States that, maybe you see some of. We'd like to bring more expressions, or maybe it's something that you've never had, One of the first rums we ever brought in was an El Salvador rum, which at the time they had never sold in the United States. They barely sold anywhere. But our first product, we first imported a bunch of 12-year-old Trinidad rum from TDL. We bought a whole 5 barrels of it. We were going to do this whole maturation process. If you guys are familiar with like the Balvenie Ton series, where they take the Scotch through multiple barrels, we were like, we could do that, but with rum. That sounds really cool. So we're at a contract facility and we're like, hey, contract facility, out of these toasted bourbon barrels into these port barrels. It'll be amazing. And so they were like, hey, yeah, that sounds great. Fast forward, they dump it all in the tank and we're like, well, that seems strange. We know about how much should be in there, and that is reading a decent bit higher than what it should be. and they don't tell us, discussions behind the corner. And it turns out that they had forgotten to take the 5-year-old MGP rye whiskey out of the tank. So our first product is actually called Fortuitous Union. And we say it's a lovely blend of Trinidad rum and MGP rye whiskey. Yeah. So our first batch of this was, well, we called it the fuck up, right? Which is similar to Fortuitous Union, but maybe this one's a little more PG. So that was our first product. It was 1,600 bottles.
Is it a Fortuitous Union though? How is it?
It actually turned out well. That's why when we were trying to sort out what the hell we would do with it, our first question was like, is this good? And if it wasn't good, clearly not something, to waste your life on. Let's just dump it and move on. As I told my business partner at the time, I was like, well, at least it wasn't fucking vodka, could be worse. Sorry, is this like an R-rated podcast, or am I cussing too much? Okay, good. Yeah,
it is now.
As with all small business owners, you're gonna hear fuck a lot. So so that was kind of our first evaluation, was, is it any good? It was. We liked it. We took it around, to a lot of the spirits people we would respect, and they're like, this is really cool. No one's ever done this. Give it a whirl. And then we took it to a distributor, and they were like, are you guys idiots? And we were like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, do you know where rum and rye whiskey are on the shelf blended? And we're like, no. They're like, exactly. It doesn't have a spot on the shelf. Like, what are you doing? We're like, well, it's really cool. And it's a distilled spirit specialty, which is the category in the TTB code where it's like, if you meet no other qualifications, but it's alcohol in a distilled spirit, it's a distilled spirit specialty. So that's the category we were in. Which is littered with really terrible liquors, right? Like generally. And then there's this rum and rye whiskey in this delightful packaging right beside it, which was, we were young and dumb. But it turned out well, right? So, and we priced it. We kind of, our Fortuitous Union line, we still make. Ironically, after we got rid of that first batch, we're like, whew, never doing that shit again, right? What a learning lesson. And then that is the one thing people asked us about more than anything else we bottled is, when are you guys going to bottle another Fortuitous Union? And we were like, well, our plan was never, right? Like that was on the schedule. Like the bottling schedule was way out. Like we're never doing that again. But people kept asking. And so we're like, we think we could do it. Something similar, something a little different. So our second batch, we actually blended some Barbados rum from Foursquare, some Jamaican pot still, and some Dominican column, and some MGP 95.5. And then we recast it all for 20 months. So we put it in different casks this time just to see what happens. The first batch was stainless steel tank and let it, marry in that for a few months. This time we're like, well, we got to let the blend set. It takes a little while for different spirits to kind of balance out flavor wise. So might as well put it in barrels. So, we used Weller or weeded bourbon casks from Buffalo Trace. We used some toasted bourbon casks from Brown Forman. We used some rye whiskey casks from Brown Forman as well, and just kind of let's see what happens. So that was the second batch of Fortuitous Union. We actually have some third sitting in casks right now. That's a completely different blend again. Always cask strength. We try to give variety. We call that our, fuck around and find out label. We'll see what happens. So I
think you should just.
So that's where it all started. Yeah.
Yeah.
The TTB gets really upset if you use profanity on labels. I
get it.
Have you guys ever been drinking? I mean, that's all that it is profanity.
That's all it is profanity and drinking. But yeah.
So I mean, we haven't even gotten to the rum yet. That's just our first screw up. But after that, we learned more. We started sourcing from a lot of different places. We sourced Barbados rum, a few different Jamaica pot still rums, Trinidad rums. We like to hang our hat in a certain area. We like to target rums that we think would be attractive to the American audience, right? There's a lot of fantastic rums out there that I try and not yet. It's just, could I buy it? Do I love it? Yes. Could I sell, enough of it to the US market? No. I bring in one of those every now and then just because I don't, it's like my pride point, but we do try to focus on rums with an overlap with whiskey. Right. Similar flavor profile, a little different. If you've got 100 bottles of whiskey, maybe you should branch out and grab a couple bottles of rum. So We source a lot of Barbados rums, pot and column blend distilled by Foursquare Distillery at a lot of different ages. Some of those rums we put into different casks, which you guys are going to try quite a few of. We source some of the Jamaican pot stills, kind of in that not yet ready for the U.S. market. We source on, kind of that medium and low ester end of the spectrum for pot stills, simply because like the high esters are a little hard for, a lot of whiskey drinkers. We source Guyana rums, which I kind of align, especially the Guyana Port Morance, which is a 300-year-old wooden still. It imparts a smoky flavor similar to a Scotch. So,
Oh wow!
Really? We target rums that would appeal, first to whiskey drinkers, because if you look at the U.S. market, there's way more whiskey drinkers than rum drinkers. But we also try to push you along the spectrum. So we call like our Barbados Foursquare our gateway drug. Right. For whiskey drinkers, that's where a lot of them start. And we're like, hopefully we've established a level of trust with you. And then our goal is try other things. We offer a lot of jurisdictions. There's a lot of other good independent bottlers in the US now. So hopefully, you try us, you try others, you find things you like in the rum category. It is very diverse. And our goal is to kind of be in the conversation and help people find out what they like in the rum space.
Are there particular brands or styles of rums that allow additives versus some that do not? Or is that a tricky question?
It is. So some jurisdictions, right, would prohibit it for their designation. Other jurisdictions do not. The other challenge is a jurisdictional requirement like an AOC. So you would see in Cognac or Champagne or Calvados. Some, especially the French territory islands, will have an AOC for their rums. That AOC, which is called an appellation of control or some French term, it basically means like, if you meet these requirements, it is this. The challenge is a lot of those are not recognized in the United States. So for example, I could go buy, and I've been offered Martinique distilled fresh cane juice rums, which would, a lot of people would label as a Martinique agricole rum. I would not, because it's not bottled in Martinique. If I bottled it, I would label it rum distilled in Martinique. I could add sugar to that rum if I wanted to, or color. And, that's the challenge of having so many jurisdictions with so many different regulations. When you look at Scotch and you look at Scotland, they're all united. If I did something that violated the Scotch designation, I would have 100 angry Scotsmen yelling at me from their association, right?
For sure.
It's the same with Cognac or Armagnac or Calvados. It's one jurisdiction. The challenge of rum is there are so many different jurisdictions with their own requirements. And due to trade laws, not all of them are recognized in the United States.
Interesting.
So what I do is I label it as transparently as possible. And we do not do additives or coloring. We just this is the pure rum. This is what you get from us. So for example, we have a Venezuelan rum that we bottle that is way less sweet than you would encounter in Venezuelan branded rums you would buy on the shelf. It's because we don't add any sugar to them. Most Venezuelan rums are dosed. It's one of their traditions. We just choose to give the unadulterated rum. Let the chips fall where they may. You may like the one with sugar more. You may hate the one with sugar more. It's really up to the end consumer.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I knew that it just loosely kind of knew that there was kind of a bit of like the I don't want to say wild west, but a lot of maybe regulatory things that aren't totally followed or some different things. So that kind of sums it up for me. But yeah, thanks for that.
No problem. Yeah.
All right, guys. So Jordan has sent myself, Darrell, and Scott 5 different samples, all with different. Well, the last one we'll get into, but at least the first 4 of them have all different finishes on them, different barrels, which Jordan will kind of tell us about. He kind of gave us an order of where to go through them and what we should be drinking. So I know, Jordan, you are a Jedi rum master.
Yeah, so I'll kick you guys off. So I think the first one I mentioned to you guys is, I can give you the long barrel number, but it doesn't really matter. So let's just call it 162. Our number convention is just to keep track of shit in the warehouse, but the last 3 numbers are what matter. So this is an 8-year-old rum that we import, and we've aged it an additional year. And so we aged it an additional year in a wheated bourbon cask from the Buffalo Trace Distillery. This particular cask, when we checked the date stamps and when it was dumped and everything like that, this one was a 14-year-old cask. So probably a relatively, it went into a relatively interesting whiskey batch or something like that. What we found generally, and this, I think a lot of people would probably agree, is the older the cask, the less cask influence you're going to get, the more spirit influence you will get from the last spirit, right? I had an older blender explain things like, barrels are kind of like tea bags. Every use, you lose a little more of that barrel influence,
Right.
whereas what you're doing is saturating the wood with whatever spirit, you put in there.
Yeah.
So the reason I recommended this wheated bourbon cask first is it is what I would call a sweeter and silkier rum than the ones we're going to drink in a little bit. So
it reminds me a little bit of, I don't know why, but it reminds me a little bit of like a banana pudding. I don't know why, but there's a little bit of a fruity, maybe not banana, but there's a little bit of like a fruity pudding kind of, but it smells very like pudding would taste.
Yeah, see, I'm not actually getting the banana on this. I'm getting like literally like juicy fruit gum, like all day long on this.
Real? Are we gonna have this argument? Really, juicy fruit bubble gum?
It's juicy fruit bubble gum.
Okay.
I don't know. Go eat some banana pudding. I don't know what you're saying.
Yeah. For me, my calling cards from the rums distilled by Foursquare is apricot. I can usually pick up a little bit of either caramel or vanilla, probably from the ex-bourbon cask. And then I don't notice it as much on this one. I think it's been more balanced out, but coconut. Like toasted coconut is always very close to the finish for me.
I can see
it's
that.
not as prevalent on this one.
Yeah, I'm actually getting a good amount of bourbon influence here. Darrell, what do you got, man?
I can say, like, I can kind of touch on both of you guys. So, Scott, like, instead of banana for me, when you said that, it reminded me of my grandmother used to make banana pudding, but it would be the actual vanilla wafers that she would put on top that I'm getting. So I'm getting more of like a vanilla cracker type note versus like a banana note.
Okay.
Jason, I can kind of see where you're going with like juicy fruit. It is a little fruity on the nose, but you're going to get that on probably most of these.
Yeah, I'm going to get them on most of them.
Yeah. But the nose is nice. And this one you said was 8 years, Jordan, right?
Aged 8 years in Barbados and 1 year with us. So it's 9 years total.
Oh, no. Okay.
Yeah. I think now maybe you've mentioned it, like the coconut. It does. There is a little bit of that, that tropical something or other that's there to it.
I found the wheated bourbon casks almost give a slight. There's a few different way, and it's similar with Weller single barrels. If you ever had Weller single barrels, there's like the very buttery dessert pastry ones, and then there's like the cherry ones.
Oh man!
Like the hard cherry candy. To me, this, or at least what I've encountered, the hard cherry candy is like 1 in 10. The more buttery pastry, which would play into that whole vanilla wafer concept. Like I noticed that on a lot of the wheated bourbon casks we use from there.
Yeah, that it's very. I mean, it is very creamy. There is no doubt about that. Very, very soft. Like it feels like it's a very like an elegant rum. Like I don't feel like I'm getting blown away by proof. Yeah. But there's a nice softness that's there to it.
Yeah, it's got some nice light flavors to it. Nothing overly, punch you in the face at all. It's very light. It's very easy. It's flavorful. It's got a nice punch of flavor to it. It's interesting because like I didn't know what to expect from the Weller cask, but it's actually bringing some nice flavors, kind of mellowing everything out. Yet it's still got a lot of strong flavors to it, though.
You know what I would say. This feels like, I know we were talking about like a gateway rum. This feels like something you could give just about anybody to say, hey, you want to try a rum and then not have the concept of like what that is, but this would be very, very approachable.
Yeah, and honestly, like you give someone a bottle of this, it's going down in one night. This is ridiculous.
Are you able or willing to at this point like share a proof, like a range, or do you not want to do that yet?
This will be give or take 112 to 118.
Really?
Somewhere in that range.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That's the other scary part, especially about our weeded bourbon cast, is they make super easy drinkers of things that can get you in trouble.
Yeah, it's just.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I would not think that that's 100. You know, if you told me that was 118, 115, I don't know. It drinks like maybe 101, 102 somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. I'm like this really drinks like a 100 like a 100 proofer. You know,
I know.
like it
It's
is.
crazy. All
The
right.
other fun one about this style that we do is these are amazing in cocktails, where the cocktail traditionally called like a whiskey cocktail that also calls for simple syrup, like an old fashioned. Yeah,
Mhm.
just mix the simple syrup and the whiskey, and just this kind of can replace
Oh,
both.
That's
So-
very interesting.
Or for me, when I want a slightly sweeter whiskey cocktail, like a Boulevardier, but with a little bit more sweetness to balance out the bitter, half and
Mhm.
half. So I do
Very-
half whiskey, half this.
Okay.
I think that'd be a really cool. I guess I really didn't think about that from like an old fashioned standpoint. Rather than
Mhm.
using the simple syrup, using the same amount of this, that would really add some really nice uniqueness to that cocktail.
Jarrell, how are you thinking about this first one? It's kind of dangerously delicious, isn't it?
Yeah, man. I catch myself every time I grab a bottle. I'm like, oh man, they're just getting better and better. But this for me, like front and mid palate, was like a big flavor bomb. It had a decent amount of spice. For me, it drank right around that proof point of what he's saying. It drank a little hotter than like that low 100. But the finish dies off like 10 seconds in. So
Yeah,
it gives
I'm
you
with
that sense that maybe it isn't as high proof, So I don't know if that's what
Yeah.
you were getting, but
I'm with you.
flavors mid up nice. Oh,
Yeah, I'm with you on the finish. I love the front palate, mid palate, but I'm with you on the finish. All right. We could always go back to that. Let's let it sit out a little bit. We can always revisit these, but let's kind of get through these here. Jordan,
Okay.
introduce number 79, 079.
Yeah, 079. So it's been a minute since I tasted this one, but this has been one of my favorite barrels in the warehouse. We've had it for 2 years now. So it was an 8-year-old rum imported, and we've been aging it for 2 years. And it was our first use of, it's called a satinwood barrel from Wild Turkey. I believe they use it in blending for like rare breed and stuff like that. But you have a standard Wild Turkey barrel, and then you have a satinwood barrel. And from what I can tell, looking at the two barrels, it appears the satinwood probably has a toast to it.
Mm-hmm.
So this was a satinwood Wild Turkey barrel that we used. It was a bourbon. My guess is rare breed batch. The thing I like, so it's been in there for 2 years. Again, you'll be, and I would say that like this one might be a little lower. 2 years, it's been sitting low. It could be in the 110 range for proof. Me personally, the thing I always notice on this one, and go ahead and try it before. I hate to say notes, and then people are like, I get in their head before they.
I'm getting like some chocolate notes.
Oh, gobble, gobble, baby.
This is why I asked if you guys liked Wild Turkey, right? A little bit polarizing, but one of my personal favorites from Kentucky Bourbon. So I like to experiment with their different barrels. And this has been one of my favorite results.
Holy crap, that's good.
This comes across a little more balanced than the first one for me.
Absolutely.
Like those flavors just kind of like it's still in the back of my tongue right now.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more. It's almost like that high rye from Wild Turkey kind of gets into the palate here a little bit. A little bit more spice.
Definitely.
There's almost like a black pepper citrus thing going on. I get a lot.
I can see that.
I drink a lot of Wild Turkey, and I'm always finding orange peel in Wild Turkey here and there, but I feel like I'm getting that a little bit here. So
yeah, I would agree. Yeah, that spice, it's really sweet, like right away up front, and then mid and back palate, that spice really kicks in. And I would agree, there's a little bit of a little bit of a citrus note that's there.
So let me ask you guys this, because I tried it when I pulled the samples for you guys.
Yep.
So of course I had to try them all as well. Do you get a slight savory note in the middle, almost like I would describe it as salted caramel?
Oh yeah, I can see that. And maybe the salted caramel part of it is maybe coming through as a little bit of that that black pepper spice that's there with that kind of caramel like undertone. Because
it's got like a little bit of a brine to it, almost like a savory brine, which is why like I really love this barrel. It's one of my favorites we've had. So.
Oh man, yeah. So so when I was saying that rye spice, I totally falls in line with like that savoriness that you're talking about. This one is darker. It's almost that caramel, like borderline molasses type note that just kind of punches through a little bit on the mid palate as well. But it still like gives you those nice bright rum notes that you would expect. Darrell's been eerily quiet tasting this one. What's going on?
I went back to nose and A. It's crazy. It's like super candy. It's almost like strawberry forward. It changed on me after having B, but B I like the balance of B. I may prefer the nose slightly on A for me because it comes across just a little bit more.
Well, we're not like going backwards yet. Just stay on B.
No, I haven't even tasted it. I haven't went back to it. I was just.
Oh, you haven't tasted B yet?
No, I did.
Oh, okay.
I said I haven't went back to tasting A.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah, B. I would say B, like in terms of the finish and that lingering spice, B versus A is like night and day. Like A is soft, B is now where you're really starting to amp, really showcase that secondary barrel that's probably coming through in this thing.
Yeah, B's legit.
It's interesting because like you feel like, all right, well the first one was in a wheated bourbon, Weller barrel from Buffalo Trace, and it's like, man, what's that going to do to a bourbon? It kind of did to a rum what kind of I thought it would do. It really kind of mellowed it. It kind of mellowed it out, gave some really nice like fruit forward notes to it, which is generally what you get in a good wheater. Then this one, the Wild Turkey barrel here, possibly a rare breed barrel, it gives you like rare breed experiences. You get like the savoriness, you get a spice punch to it. It's really balanced. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, the intensity on that in terms of just how it comes across the palate, it's night and day between the two.
It's still lingering on my palate. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a very nice finish. It has a little bit of a fall feel like to it. Like there's a little bit of that like fall, in a glass feel.
So I'll give you guys an anecdote. Shout out to the guys at Wild Turkey that dumped the barrels. They must be on a timer or something because they don't empty them all. So one of the reasons I love that barrel is I got about a half gallon of barrel proof whiskey out of it before I filled it with rum. So I got drunk while I filled that barrel. It was amazing. It was a great experience. So it's like, I hope the accountants at Wild Turkey aren't listening because I'd like to continue to, get barrel proof Wild Turkey while filling rum barrels.
So you got to drink what was left out of a Wild Turkey barrel right there. What was left. Well, that gives you that.
It's
you get
not a bad day. Yeah,
you get a Ron Swanson for that.
So beautiful.
Yeah,
it really is beautiful.
Yeah, that's nice. It's dangerously easy to drink. I'll say that. I mean, it is just a really easy, whatever the proof point is on that. But it is.
I got to stop drinking now. I'm going to drink that whole thing. I got to save something to go back to.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to 158. What do we got, Jordan?
Okay, so this is another not-year total, imported at 8, 1 year in a barrel. This barrel was an ECBP barrel, so Elijah Craig barrel proof. The reason I know that is I know the guy that bought the Elijah Craig barrel proof single barrel. Because you get a Heaven Hill barrel, you're like, well, how the hell do I know it was Elijah Craig barrel proof? And, it's a distiller I work with. He's like, I bought the whole fucking barrel. Here's the barrel. I can promise you it's Elijah Craig barrel proof. It's like, that works. So the reason I put this one third is you're going to notice the Elijah Craig barrel proof barrel makes this rum slap a lot harder than the first two.
For sure.
Very big spice and barrel notes.
Yeah. All right. 158 Elijah Craig barrel proof. You ready for this, Darrell?
I am. This one's darker than the first.
Definitely, like you said, the first thing you think of is like heavy, like dark fruits, a lot of barrel char on it.
Oh yeah, there's way more barrel on this one compared to the other two.
Oh geez.
I'll tell you what. Like my first reaction when you first smell it was immediately to default to like whiskey. Like it's a very tricky nose. Like
Yeah.
like the influence of that bourbon barrel is very significant on this because
I chose your samples intentionally when we had our call. I was like, well, what do you got?
Yeah.
Do you like Stag? Do you like Elijah Craig Barrel Proof? Do you like Wild Turkey? There was a lot of yeses, so I was like, okay. I think they would, other people only want Weller, only want weeded bourbon cask. So I was like, I think these guys would appreciate a range.
Yeah, it's okay to be wrong, but that's okay.
Yeah.
It is very much like where you could almost convince someone that you're drinking a bourbon finished in a rum barrel. To be honest, it is that significant.
Yeah, I can usually pick rum off the nose like really, really easy, and this one's tricky. This one is tricky. That barrel influence is definitely present.
I mean, right, Darrell? Like the minute I smelled this, Darrell, I was like, "Holy crap!" It wasn't anything like the other two, which I kind of like.
No.
Here's the amazing argument I have with people on the internet, because I apparently like to waste my time arguing with people on the internet. So they have informed me quite authoritatively that bourbon barrels are all the same. If I put rum in any bourbon barrel, it will turn out the exact same, regardless of, it doesn't matter if it was a weeded bourbon, it doesn't matter who the cooper was, it doesn't matter what whiskey was in it. They're all exactly the same.
Oh boy.
So I think you guys have tried 3 of them. Would you say that all those barrels were exactly the same?
Very much so. I mean, this is just all the same stuff, right?
Yeah.
Those are the same people that think Jack Daniel's isn't a bourbon. So
correct.
Oh man, that's
awesome.
like could you guys almost be tricked into thinking you were drinking bourbon that's finished in rum? Like could you be convinced of that?
I don't think so. I don't think it's that bourbon forward, but I do think that this is the heaviest bourbon influenced rum out of the 3 that we've had so far. And this thing definitely comes in a little bit. It's a little bit hotter, which is nice.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
I think I could convince people though that this is a bourbon finished in a rum barrel.
Yeah, for sure. Like that was my first thought. Was like there's very much of a bourbon with the rum component there, but it's very, for me, it's very like whiskey kind of forward.
Jordan, was this a wet barrel? I mean, was there some rum? Was there some bourbon in that barrel?
So our barrels are not. We don't do the thing where we pour. Like it's a sherry barrel because we poured some fucking sherry in it. But we do get, the convenience of being where we are located is we get fresh barrels. They are not dried out, right? Yeah. So we hard seal them, ship them, keep them in climate control until we fill them. So you open the barrel, it's still fresh. So a fresh barrel will give you a lot more of that spirit flavor.
So Justin has a good question. Does the bourbon influence the proof of the rum at all? Do you think?
A little bit. I wouldn't say a lot, just because if you think about the ratio, right, it'll bump it up a little bit. Most bourbons are, say, in the 120-ish range, whereas most of our rums are slightly lower. It can bump it up if the barrel is really saturated, but not enough that it's appreciable. Maybe a proof point or something.
See, now for me, like 3, I'm getting a little bit more of like how you were talking about salted caramel on 2. Like I'm feeling like I'm getting a little bit more of that, like on 3.
Now, I will point out on this one, we only have half a cask of it. Someone that was an obsessed whiskey drinker came in and wanted to buy an entire half of that barrel. So we're like, okay.
Looks like we found our short barrel, guys.
Yes, I'm a bitch.
Hey, Google, give me some.
Exactly.
But I thought, after we'd already sold it before I talked to you guys, I was like, damn it, I wish I hadn't sold that half barrel because I just would have sent this whole thing to you guys. But the other half is available. I've been holding it for you.
Okay, appreciate
All
that.
right. Darrell, what do you think of this one, man? You've been eerily quiet again.
I think he set us up, man. Like they're progressively getting better and better. We're gonna finish with an 18, which is probably gonna be like lights out as well. But I love how that barrel influences that rum. Like it's really, really sneaky. And like I mentioned, I can usually pick rum up immediately, right off the nose, and that one would have me second guessing. And I always kind of say light whiskey vibes for some of the Foursquare I drink. Like I would get that more so than bourbon, but I think I get a little bit more bourbon than I get light whiskey vibes on that that Seabat or the third one we just tried.
I see Darrell using this in blinds against Jeff and Kelsey to mess with them.
Dude, I've done it. I've done it.
This could be very, very sneaky to sneak into a whiskey flight and convince someone that they're drinking whiskey. I think you can 100% do that with this thing.
Yeah,
I used to be known to go to a very famous whiskey store and bring samples unlabeled and just let very informed whiskey drinkers, according to themselves, right, tell me exactly what the sample was. None of them guessed rum.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think more of that like kind of dark fruit kind of influence is starting to come out. Like
there's a sneaky. When we get back to, there's a sneaky cherry note that I'm not hearing, which I think is from that Elijah Craig barrel proof. That for sure, a little bit of a sneaky cherry note.
Yeah, and I think
that thing slaps. Woo!
Like it also feels like as much bourbon is there feels like there's that nice like molasses, dark, the heavy kind of brown sugar notes that are still there, of course, as well. That's really like man, I keep wanting to say whiskey, but that's a great rum that you think you could just sit down and take your time on and just kind of explore the hell out of that thing, to be honest.
All right, Jordan. I don't know where we go from here. That was pretty damn good. All right, I'm actually,
with you guys.
I'm really interested in this. I'm really interested in this cask. So the next one is 076, and I just thought, go for it.
Yeah, another interesting one. So the first two were very easy for me to stack. Like which one? I was drinking most subtle to most like smash your mouth open with flavor, right? Like that was the strategy here.
Yeah. Between
the ECBP barrel and this barrel, I was like, I don't know. Maybe drinker's preference. So 076 is a 10-year, so we imported it 8 years old. It's been in the barrel 2 years. And this particular barrel is one of the Woodford Double Oak casks. So what's interesting about those casks are they only use those barrels for 6 to 9 months. This is the second barrel they use, and it is a high toast, low char. So you have less char influence, whereas I found with the Brown-Forman cooperage toasting, you get almost a cream quality to it.
Yeah.
Now, the other interesting thing I found out about these casks in particular is we usually age 1 to 2 years, or, we have some going longer than that, but 1 to 2 years additional is kind of our, sweet spot for what we bottle. These do better at the 2-year mark than they do at the 1-year mark. The 1-year mark is very new barrel forward. You're getting a lot of that heavy oak flavor. It really mellows out as you get to that second year. So this one has been in over 2 years.
Man, that like cocoa on that thing is like ridiculous.
Ooh.
Boy, that like brown butter, brown sugar.
Jordan, is this still in a barrel or is it in a vat?
No, this is in a barrel. All of these are still in the barrel.
Still in the barrel.
So, yeah.
Mamuka 1977. There is no added sugar in any of these.
Yeah, we don't.
Nothing.
We don't do added sugar. As I tell people, there are some rum makers that do a great job with it. I'm not a rum maker. I'm a blender. I'm an independent bottler. I have no idea where to start with like adding rum to get the right flavor. Just not my jam. So.
Man, oh man.
That is
very rich.
That's the first out of all of them. That's the creamiest, I think. Out of all.
It's a bizarre thing I get out of all the Brown-Forman toasted barrels.
I'm not getting any of the Brown-Forman banana, which is nice.
Oh my Lord, that is so good.
Even if I did, I don't know if I'd be able to kind of sneak up and see that from the rum. But man, is that wow!
Just that like really like creme brulee, milk chocolate. Like it is so like decadent. It's ridiculous.
And the more you sip this, I feel like more the rum comes through. That Brown-Forman toasted cask just kind of lifts it up a little bit, gives it like a little bit of a
little coconut,
like
maybe a little coconut.
I get the toasted coconut in this one big time.
Yeah.
I'm getting a berry vibe. I don't know if it's cherry or strawberry, but the rum influence is a little bit more present on this versus the last one that we had.
I agree. I agree.
You know what? What else it feels like is that it feels like the strong bourbon profile is there too, but with this like really nice, just beautiful like layer of rum that just kind of seems to be like on your palate, but like you continue to, as much as you're tasting it, like you continue to also smell it, which is really kind of interesting.
Another interesting shout out for these barrels in particular. So these are just an interesting barrel for us because of the way they're used, how long they're used, and really what was flavor loaded into that barrel is already a mature whiskey, right? These make amazing finishing casks after we're done with them. These in particular, it's that char toast profile, how long we use it. So we operate out of Starlight Distillery in Indiana, and they do a lot of finishing with our casks when we're done with them. Some of my favorites come from these double oak barrels from the Brown Forman Cooperage. They make great finishing barrels.
I was already thinking like one of these, like if we go with one of these, does that also allow us to retain the barrel in order to finish a whiskey?
Yes, I can actually put you in contact with them.
Oh,
generally get a
God.
choice, bourbon
This
or rye.
this also has a very sneaky long finish on it that's just sitting on the back of my palate.
Yeah.
What are you getting, Darrell, on that one?
So I'm with you with that. At
Yep.
first, granted, I took a sip of water, so it was drinking a little easier. I was like, I don't know. If
I did the same thing. I'm like, I like it, but what's going on here?
Yeah, progressively, that's probably like 3 sips in, and it's just getting more intense, more intense. It's just as balanced as the second one that I thought was a lot more balanced than the other two.
Yeah.
But this is like everything. Like, dude,
Yeah,
this is fruit forward. You got the rum, you got the barrel influence.
It's
You
dense.
definitely get that double oak. The proof is there. The finish is there.
Yeah.
Dude,
and it's super creamy too. I like
Very,
the
very
texture-
creamy.
The texture on this one is well beyond the other three.
Yeah, like I don't know if you guys can see or not. I mean, well, probably
Yeah, the
not.
color
But
too.
the legs are crazy on these things.
yeah, mine's like arching.
Dear
from-
Lord,
I
man.
would
the
say
glass.
this one is
Kinda
in
see
the
that.
110 to 112 range, probably. Usually after the first year, we'll drop them down to the floor, basically the concrete floor. So they're going to absorb a little bit more humidity for that second year.
So I guess on this one here, so this is a 10-year rum that's been in the double oak cask for about how long now?
2 years, over
2
two.
years.
Yeah.
This one's fantastic.
So does that 2 years included in the 10?
Yeah.
Got it.
Unlike whiskey, rum doesn't, or unlike bourbon and American rye, rum does not require new cask, right? So
Okay.
it's more like cognac, Armagnac, Calvados, where they'll switch casks around depending on where it's at in its flavor profile, but the age keeps going.
Nice.
Yeah, and you can just see like in the color like how much more of the barrel influence there really is on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even like the other three were very good, obviously, with this one. This one's another level, man.
I'm already with you on that. First sip, I was.
Yeah, first of
there
all, I was
already.
like, oh, damn! Like the viscosity of it kind of got me, and then as you keep sipping it, the flavors, oh my gosh, everything comes together perfectly here. There's no dominant like note. I think the only dominant note here is how creamy it is. The other stuff is just in such good balance.
Yeah, like much more than when I keep going back to like the nose on it, like it just really feels like that top layer of like creme brulee, that really rich kind of charred.
I would say
sugar.
creme brulee is one I usually use with like as a very like all of them give that. Of course, every barrel is a little different, right? Some go a little fruitier, some go a little more to the like spice end, but it's that cream, almost that like charred cream in the middle.
Yeah,
very common characteristic of those casks.
Holy mamma mia!
Yeah, I mean my reaction is just the fact that like you just want to keep drinking it. Like there is that, even though the finish is nice, you just want to keep drinking it. You know?
Yeah. I'm right there with you. I don't want to put it down, but I want to kind of just go through again. I'm pretty sold already on that one.
Yeah, I mean,
I do want to taste them again.
Yeah, I mean, I do want to taste this last special one, which Jordan included.
Yeah. So I just threw in an oddball. You guys might want to go through and taste the other ones again.
Oh yeah, let's go through the other ones.
Yeah. Let's just set 5 aside for a couple minutes.
Yeah. Let's yeah, you stay there, number 5. Okay.
Yeah, number 5 is alive.
I'm actually drinking a sister barrel of number 5 right now. So
Oh,
you know,
look
this
at
is this one I bottled earlier, so it's 17. The one you guys
What
had
batch
turned
number is that,
18
Jordan?
in May. This is not a batch. So this is a single cask. Ah, shit. Let me find that. So is a Foursquare 2005, a May 2005 distillation. Which one do you have?
Oh, that's an Indiana. I got a Foursquare one though. The 17 year. Oh.
Yeah, you've got one of the OG ones. So that's a 2004 run.
Yeah.
That's when we were bottling in Kentucky.
Yeah, so I have this, the 22 and 23 or 21 and 23.
All right. What'd you think of the 23?
I really like that 23. I sent Jason a sample last week. He got to try that.
Mhm.
That bottle's killer. I opened a 22 last year. And those those 20 plus lost casks, man, are just on a different level, man. They're so good.
That lost cask sample that he sent me was ridiculous.
I saw someone else in the chat said they had a lost cask Guyana, and they're like, yeah, it tasted like a malt. And I was like, yeah, that's the Port Morant. So we did a Port Morant cask Guyana that went through shared pour. And yeah, it's a Scotch drinker's rum. It tastes like Scotch and rum had a baby, you know. That 23-year-old Foursquare, and I think is almost getting like cognac quality. Like you're getting a little bit of that raisinated flavor in the 23, which I found so interesting. You don't usually encounter in rum. I love that barrel.
Yeah, it's so it's still sitting too. I was almost tempted to grab another one. I'm probably halfway through mine. Like my 17 has the most. The 21, I think. Was it a 21?
The 21's an interesting one. That's the first year. So we sold a 21. That's the first year where Foursquare introduced their pot still into the mix. And it really dropped the ABV, and it's a very interesting flavor. I would say they didn't dial in their pot still ratio and everything until 2005.
Gotcha.
Their 2004, which is that 17 year you have from us, that one's more fruity. It has more like apricot flavor to it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say it's really good, but it's not like kind of that classic Foursquare in 2000.
Yeah.
2005 is where they hit that like big barrel note, big coconut, you know, vanilla all the way through, which is actually the sample I sent you guys is a 2005.
The 18?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Wow, you go back to the first one here, and
you're going already all the way back to 1. Okay.
Yeah, I tasted it, and it was
subtle
really good when we first had it. But
it's so flat now.
Yeah. This is why I put it first. I was like, they're not going to taste that. Like you would have drank that at the end and been like, well, this tastes like water.
I feel like I could taste the wheat in it somehow.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just very very soft, but it would definitely be a rum that you'd want to give to somebody who had never had rum before. A great like introductory rum for sure. Why I'm like almost picking up this like little more of a citrus note on 1 for some reason.
Man, I still love the Wild Turkey one, but I'm a Wild Turkey fanboy, so that probably makes sense.
Wild Turkey. Oh, that's the second one. Yeah.
Yes, second one. I'm moving along here because it's going to be tough to beat number 4 for me. So,
are you on number 2 right now? Are you back to number 2 or what?
Yeah, number 1 is out for me. It's too soft at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's good, but it's.
I think you gentlemen, if I drew some conclusions, you're more on the like bold stag, CBP end of the spectrum. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think that's a solid thesis you have there, Jordan.
Yeah.
What's crazy is like the high age, like the 20s, they're like 118, 119.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're high proof.
Man, two after tasting all of them, man, 2 is very, very different. It is very different now. It's less sweet. Like I know you had mentioned maybe like a brininess or something before. There is definitely less sweet notes coming off of 3 and 4 for sure.
Yeah, it's the Wild Turkey one has gotten more. It's like almost. I think Jordan said it perfectly that there's a salty savoriness to it.
Yeah,
I mean it is sweet, but it's almost drying to the palate.
A little bit, I could see that. Yeah,
I do get a slight drying. as well. But the finish on that's really, really nice.
The finish on it's the best part. That thing goes for a Kentucky mile.
Look at you using some Kentucky analogy.
That's what Captain Cannoli Blackbeard said.
Kentucky mile. Yeah. Let me guess. After this, you're gonna go for a country mile walk or what?
Yeah, no, I already did my walk today.
Your walk.
Captain Cannoli Blackbeard at your service. All right.
Nice. Captain Cannoli Blackbeard.
That's my name. All right, I'm going back to the ECBP one now.
Yeah,
Holy hell, it smells like bourbon on the nose.
It does. Like, it was the first thing I thought was like, it just smells like bourbon.
Wow, it really does. I would not think this. If you gave this to me in a blind, there's no way I'm thinking this is a rum offhand.
Especially if you're like a few drinks in, right? Like, there's no way you're picking that up. You're thinking maybe rum cask finished bourbon.
Yeah.
This is where I'm torn right now between 3 and 4. In my mind, I'm trying to figure out as a rum drinker, and maybe Darrell and Jordan can be the kind of tiebreakers on this, but when you're drinking these rums, like what people are looking for, like 3 feels like it has much more coming off of 4, much more of the rum like influence. Like it feels like it's God, I'm like trying to figure out like how this would like kind of make sense in my mind. I'm just trying to figure out like what a rum drinker, like a true rum drinker wants in a rum, like, because 3 is coming across a little bit more like rum-ish versus 4, like where 4 is that just perfect spirit. Like, I don't even know if I want to define that as, rum or bourbon. Like 4 is incredible. 3 is different. I'm like lost in my mind right now. So
yeah, you just took us down a long road. I don't know what you were saying. What happened?
I'm really just kind of I'm utterly confused right now. So
yeah. Jordan and Darrell just went cross-eyed. Thank you.
No.
I'm just trying to figure out.
Sometimes the rum is like a bourbon, but a bourbon's like a rum, and then the rum becomes the bourbon, and the bourbon and the rum.
The fact that I've confused you right now means I've completed my mission. my goal.
I feel better. I feel better about myself right now. So
my goal has been to point out to heavy whiskey drinkers there are also great rums out there.
Oh yeah.
What you find on the shelf at your average store is not reflective of what is out there. So look a little harder. Try us. There are also other great independent bottlers. If you want to go, like Foursquare, thank God, is now relatively well distributed. In most markets. So Foursquare, their exceptional cask. Dorley's is kind of their standard line. Great rums as well. They also have the Real McCoy line, which could be in some markets. All those are great rums. Just do a little research, look around. You can find them now. So the U.S. rum market is growing.
Jordan, I'm going to do this for you. Okay, you ready? Here we go. I'm going to look right at the camera. Hey, guys, all you bourbon drinkers out there, if you think that bourbon casks can do all the same things to a rum, flavor-wise, you're wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, it is 100% evident based on these 4 rums that we've tasted. All of them, all 4 are significantly different in terms of the overall finishing profile.
Karen B. Ford pouring a little 2005 Foursquare. There you go.
I would say 2005 Foursquare, their exceptional cask, is the epitome of Foursquare. Like, that is exactly their flavor profile in a bottle.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I got a couple bottles downstairs.
I love their double finished one. I have the 05. I like when they kind of double it. Give me some Madeiras, the ports, sherries.
I love the mix when they do pot and the column still. I just feel like the pot still adds a creaminess to it. The column still adds an elegance to it. You kind of combine that with like a good finish and a good age, and it's tough to beat. It is really tough.
That's kind of almost like what 4 feels like.
Yeah.
You know, like it's got that creaminess that you would expect from like a pot still, but like the overall complexity of you know what you would get through, you know, column distillation or whatever. It's got like that combination of both. Like the richness of 4 is like ridiculous. You know, like Jordan said, like when you're drinking whiskey, like what we all look for is that complexity, nice long finish, and man, it is. I don't trust Jason's anymore. Okay, so Jason W.
That was a funny one.
I mean, Darrell, Scott. I mean, it's hard for me to get off of 076. What do you guys think?
I'm with you. I would say the only thing that maybe the third one has slightly over 4 is just the intensity of the flavor.
Yeah,
you know how it just kind of hits you, but 4 still gives you a great finish. It still has all that flavor. It's I don't want to say perfect because I don't think anything's ever perfect, but like that's as close to like a perfect rum at 10 years old that you're gonna get, man. Like that thing hits every marker.
See, Darrell, when I was babbling like an idiot before, that's what I was expecting from you. I was hoping someone like would support me here a little bit, and like you just left me on an island, and now you just said exactly what I was.
Is that what you were trying to say, Scott?
Yes, this is exactly what I was trying to say.
So you get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
I love you, Scott.
You can't even just do a rum live stream anymore without just like, oh my god, without getting Gene Wilder like little clips.
You're gonna have Gene Wilder nightmares later.
Yeah.
That's where I was going. Like in a nutshell, I was confused on 3 and 4 because of those two kind of factors. So
as a businessman, I will point out we have a half a barrel of 3. You could buy 1.5 barrels. Yeah, I'm just putting that out there. No shame in that.
So here's the thing. The issue for us is I'm not quite exactly sure how many rum drinkers we have here, but I mean we have a rum in a Woodford double oak cask. I know a full barrel is around 200 something bottles.
Yeah, you'll be on a 10-year. I would say I deal in cases, so I would say it'll be 36 to 38 cases, 6-packs.
You know what I would have a feeling of? Like I have a feeling, and you guys can agree or disagree, but I have a feeling that anybody who would try number 3 would immediately, if possible, want like a second one very quickly after having it, like because of the decadence, and 3 feels like it's that great like bourbon drinkers like rum. Like it feels like a very powerful, bourbon, great spice, great finish. 4 has got that like elegant double oak chocolate, all of those notes. They're very different rums.
So the Elijah Craig barrel proof is a half barrel already.
Yep.
These bottles will come in around $80 ish.
We tell people $80 retail. If you negotiate a better deal with the retailer, that's beyond my control. So keep that in mind. Yeah,
about $80 retail, and that would be for either one of these. I don't know if Darrell, I'll leave it to you because you're part of the Patreon group.
Sure.
Would you want to just buy as many as of barrel of the double oaked one? Or would you want to be able to purchase maybe one of the Elijah Craigs and a Woodford, so you have 2 different types of flavor profiles?
Me personally, it's going to be tough for me to speak among the masses because I know I'm one of the few that probably really, really dig rum. I would 100% love both of them. I know, but for you guys, the struggle is trying to transition some of the bourbon drinkers that we have within the Patreon to rum. Which with these, I think it's really, really easy. It's what I've been trying to do for the past couple of years, and everybody that I introduced Foursquare to has loved it. Literally, I haven't met one person that hasn't liked it after trying it. But everybody drinks bourbon so much that they don't give it a shot. But I think if they did, they would be blown away by some of the stuff you get. Like,
and the fact that these rums are finished in those 2 very highly regarded casks. I
Yeah.
think that just adds to it. Everybody in the chat here is saying, I want one of each. I want one of each. I want one of each.
All right, you got 150 in chat, so that's
It
half the bottles.
is so difficult right now between 3 and 4. And here's the other thing: we're now talking about 3 and 4, and we've not even tasted 5. We've not even explored that yet.
That's going to be a
Jesus.
different beast.
So, but the struggle is knowing.
Oh shit! Yeah.
The profile of 4 and 5 is knowing like what that is and how you want other people to explore both of those.
Damn, Don is like, give me all of it. So Justin, looks like these bottles should be around 80-ish right there. So
we price it to hit $79.99. That's our goal.
Yeah. At that price point, like
these are stupid good for that price point.
Yeah. I got a lot of Foursquare that would beat about 60 to 70% of the bourbons I have, and I'm blind. You know, and I've done it like with hitters, and like that stuff is that good, man.
Wilmo says, get 4 and 5. If you buy it, we will too.
Well, it would be the 2 half barrel. The Elijah Craig barrel proof barrel, which is number 3. That's only a half barrel anyway.
Yeah.
So I feel like we would probably want to, if it's possible from Jordan, we would probably want to do the half barrel of the double oak too. If we're gonna finish off his Elijah Craig barrel, and then get a half for the group as well, not a full.
Oh, yeah. If you can do it that way, then that's perfect.
Yep. All right. What Scotty? Oh, Scotty's walking away because he's
no.
Scotty's. He just pulled a Jeffrey Wactorell. He just walked away.
He's lost in thought.
He's lost in thought.
Oh man. Yeah, half of each is fantastic. I thought you had to do a full of the 4. And
we do halves for any we do halves because we understand groups can't 200 bottles.
It won't be very long before some other group comes along and buys.
I mean, we've sold 300 bottles of stuff. At times when it's especially like a big time bourbon. Wild Turkey. We did a Wild Turkey release. We sold like 500 bottles. But it's just kind of different with rum. So we want to make sure that we're giving enough. We want to make sure that we're giving enough to the group that'll be interested in it. But we also want to make sure that I think the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof is the perfect rum one that anybody that's a bourbon drinker that's part of our group wants to try a rum. It's perfect because it's got more of the bourbon influence in it. Now, for more of the purist rum drinkers, this 7.6 with the Woodford Double Oaked is going to be everything you want in a rum. It is creamy, it is balanced, it is fruity, it is spicy, long finish. It's got all of it. Now, with that said, we're about to try an 18-year. So here we go.
Yeah. So I saw someone ask what the distillery for all these rums were distilled in Barbados by Foursquare Distillery. Yeah. And all of these are pot and column blends, which is kind of the standard product for Foursquare.
Yep.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys. Yeah. So this is all Foursquare high-end, just really delicious rum.
And, just to be clear, we are an independent bottler. So I still encourage you to go out and buy Foursquare's products as well, because they're all fucking amazing too.
Yeah.
Exceptional cast.
Yes.
Yeah. Bourbon. The 2 that we're down to that looks like we're going to maybe get a half of each is one of them is an Elijah Craig barrel proof finish. And the other one is a Woodford Double Oak finish, which is incredible. So here we go. Yeah.
So this last barrel I threw in as a ringer. It is a May 2005 distillation, so it's now 18 years old. Distilled in Barbados by Foursquare Distillery. This is the original cask we received it in. Generally, when we receive older stuff, we don't do a lot of let's switch it to another bourbon cask. It's like, well, why mess with, an 18-year-old rum?
Yeah.
I will say, on that note, we do have some 2006 distilled by Foursquare Rum currently sitting in cognac casks, which is looking fucking incredible. So next year, that's going to be out on the market.
That's going to be 17 as well?
Let's see here. So it's 2006 this year, so it'll be next year? It'll be 18. Yeah.
Oh my god!
Right. Yeah. So we're gonna try to do at least a year. It's KMS cognac casks. So that'll be a fun one. We'll probably small batch that because it's just
Yeah. So everybody.
I got to imagine the barrel's all nasty looking.
So people that are watching, this will be through shared pour. So
5. This thing's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. So
Did
to
you guys taste that? I've
recap
been
on the
nosing.
barrels.
Oh
I know
my
someone
God.
asked-
Oh my
yeah.
God.
So someone asked Woodford. So sample 4 is a Woodford double oak cask.
Yeah.
Sample.
The second cask Brown Forman uses, they use it also for they use a similar cask for their Old Forester 1910 series, but it's that second barrel they use for finishing.
Oh my God, that 18-year.
And I also saw someone complaining about OHLQ. I will say Ohio Liquor Control did come and pick a bunch of rolling fork barrels, so Ohio will have a variety of rums hitting the shelf over the next year, which is kind of rare for Ohio. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I live here in Columbus, Ohio, and I've done multiple picks for them for the state. So, yeah, OHLQ is like most state-controlled liquor agencies. They have their pros and their cons.
Yep.
Shout
out to them though. They're trying. So give them suggestions. They came to us. We're like, hey, we have people asking for rum. I
told the good folks at OHLQ last year or 2 years ago. I gave them all this whole list of like whiskeys and brands you should be having in the state. Foursquare was at the top of the list, along with Smoke Wagon, Sagamore Spirit, Penelope, and guess what? They're all in the state now. So I'm not saying I did it, but I think I was a little bit of a
You put Rolling Fork at the top, right?
I put Rolling Fork all the way at the bottom, but I said, if you guys have time, let's get this one in there too. But what? I'm glad because Foursquare still isn't in the state. So the fact that they have Rolling Fork coming in is freaking awesome because we need that type of rum here in tequila and rum here in Ohio have been flying off the shelves, and you get some Rolling Fork in here, it's going to be amazing.
It'll probably be a couple months before we release, but we have bottled it. It's going through the system. So
5 is a whole other monster.
It is. To me, this is where you really encounter what I call that coconut note on the finish. Those 2005 barrels, big coconut.
Do you know what barrel?
So Dunny has a quick question. Where can we buy Rolling Fork to support you? He meant to write Jordan there, not Jason. But outside of the picks, how many states is Rolling Fork available in?
Okay, so the big ones around Michigan. I will say I think we're in 16 states now. I'm actually not the distribution person. I shafted my partner with all that work, which is the worst job ever. So, shout out to them for actually dealing with that. But okay.
Oh, where'd you go?
That was a dead battery, is what that was.
Oh no!
Yeah, his battery died. Come back, Jordan, and sit here. Dunny is ready to write down.
Okay,
he's back.
There he is. Okay.
I'm back. Yeah. Okay, so sometimes on share pour, I think we sold out of the last thing that was on there, which was a Guyana rum. Sealbox.com in DC as well, which they ship to 38 states. Then state-wise, Indiana is a pretty good state for us. Around Indianapolis, we have quite a few accounts. New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, a little bit in Massachusetts, some in Kentucky, a little bit in Tennessee. We have barrel picks every now and then in Tennessee, a little bit in California as well. K&O Wines carries some of our stuff. And there are also some California websites, if you live in California, that will ship to you, like Bitters and Bottles and a few other High Times wine sellers as well.
Steelbox has a bunch.
Steelbox is always been, for a small guy starting out, I don't have a massive marketing budget or anything. I will shout out to Steelbox. They've been great for small guys. Frugal McDougal has a Rolling Fork finished in a Wild Turkey rye barrel. Pretty interesting barrel.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So we try kind of think about the tri-state region, now adding Ohio as well later this year, which is going to be awesome for us. And then, kind of the big states. We are going to try to do Florida and California and Texas really a lot more next year.
Man,
Full disclosure.
You say Texas, that's the big boys right there.
Yeah.
Texas is fool's gold for rum, though. Hear me out. In any other state, right, whiskey's number one, and then there's a smattering of other things. In Texas, tequila and mezcal are number one. Whiskey's number two, and then there's that. So like, people are like, "Oh my God, Texas, they drink so much. They buy a lot of tequila, mezcal, and whiskey. Like, there's not a lot of appetite. There's some, but it's not as much as people think looking at the numbers. I would say Florida and California are actually bigger markets for rum.
Oh, I can see that.
All right, Darrell, 18-year, go.
Yeah,
he needs water.
This thing is ridiculous.
No, the 18 year is great. In all honesty, right, as great as it is, I think I like 4, just how different it is, right? Because I have a lot of Foursquare products, and this is similar to that. I got the 17s and it's that profile, which I love, but I haven't had one like this. The 4 and the 3, which I would 100% still buy the 18. I love it. But I think 4 kind of takes it for me just because how different it is versus the 18.
I agree. And for whatever, and I'm sure it has to do with the length of age on that 18-year, but this is probably more of the bourbon drinker perspective from me personally. It's got the longer finish. The finish goes on for I'm talking like a little bit of spice. I think the 18-year has a very long finish, but it's more of like a depth of flavor, whereas 4 has like this really nice spice to it that just lingers. You could just sit down. I want to pair this with a cigar like immediately.
Oh yeah, it'd be good.
Yeah.
I see a request for a half.
I feel like I like the proof on 5. Like I like the proof on 5.
This one's gone up. There's definitely some concentration in there. I would say this one's 58, 59% ABV, right?
Yeah,
maybe pushing 120.
You can feel
it. So for this 18-year, Jordan, I know you said we could make some bottles available for the group. What does that look like?
Yeah, if we bottle an 18 in the fall for like general distribution, right, we could send some cases to like shared pour if you guys could tell us, give or take, in case format, which is 6 bottles, give me a number, and as long as shared pour is cool with it, we could send that to shared pour. That's fine with us.
Okay.
Yeah. So full disclosure, this is our last 2005 barrel we have. I held it for you guys. It's kind of just like, here you go. Here's what we have. But in the fall, we generally try to bottle a few kind of exotic casks, right? Which is where, like, the 23-year-old Foursquare bottle, we had 1 cask of that. We did, and we bottled it and sent it to a place, seal box, where we knew they could reach most customers, because there's not a lot of people that want to spend the money on a 23-year-old rum cask.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I hate about doing those casks in particular is like sending it to one state, right? I almost want to send it somewhere like seal box or shared pour where a lot of people can access it, because there's a couple hundred people US wide, but there's not a couple hundred people in New York that give a shit, quite frankly. So I would, if you guys are interested and we bottle it in the fall, give me a round case number estimate. And if shared,
that's
seal
easy.
Box is cool.
That's easy. That's easy for us, because we can do a quick poll in our group and see what the price point and what it is. How many people would want to get their hands on one, and if we could bring that to the group, that'd be great, and we could obviously give you that number. I think that'll be great. And we
you probably really almost do like a pre-sale, honestly.
Yeah.
I guess in terms of bottling and availability, as far as 3 and 4 go, what are we looking at for time wise on these?
So I currently have a bottling run scheduled for August and September, and I was actually holding my order to see what you guys wanted. So, if you can tell me in the next few days, I will get it on the schedule for probably August, September.
Okay.
I don't think we have to wait a couple of days. I'm just thinking.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I think we should grab the other half of the Elastic Barrel Proof and the half barrel of the Woodford Double Oaked. I think it'd be cool to bring both of those to the group, because I think the heavy bourbon drinkers, as we said, will absolutely love that ECBP, and more of the seasoned rum veterans will absolutely go crazy over the Woodford one. Unless, Darrell, you think we should just go all Woodford? What do you think?
No, I'm with you with splitting it, man. 100%. Because they're both really good and they're different. Like you mentioned.
Yeah, very different.
3, I think, hits a little bit more for the Patreons that kind of like gravitate towards that higher proof, you know, because
Yep.
it's going to smack you with all the flavor and it's less rum-ish, if that makes any sense, versus D just being a killer, just fantastic rum, right? It has all the rum aspects. C hides it a little bit, which I think is good for the group.
All right, guys. That's Scott, you okay with that, man?
100%. I agree. Yeah.
All right.
Fantastic.
All right, Jordan.
Yeah. So and people were asking timing. So bottle August, September. Try to get it there for shared pour is pretty easy to process through. They've been great for us as well. So
yeah,
I can't commit to their time frame, but you know they're good at picking up from us. So bottled August, September, probably late August. I'll pick up, ship out. I mean, I think the last one we ran was on their site and sold out in 3 weeks. So
yeah, I would imagine these will go pretty quickly once, even if there's some that hang out. I think these are going to sell pretty quick in our group once they hear about these flavors and what's going on here. So,
and what I think will happen is even the people where there's a little like reluctancy, once they have them, the oh shit factor will kick in, and then like, can I get more of it? I think that's what will happen, is that there'll be like the people who want it, and then once you try this, the rest of this shit will be gone.
Yeah,
like,
it's gonna go. It's that good. This cask 76 is insanely good, and I'm very sad it's going to be gone tonight.
Yeah, I poured all mine. I usually keep like a half, but I'm like,
I
forget what these are. I'm like, I might as well just
until it's bottled. Also, Jordan, do you guys allow stickers on the bottles?
So here's what we do. We will print whatever you want, and we will mail it wherever you want. We can't put it on the bottle.
Okay.
Some of the states we sell into are like, you fucking put it on the bottle. We're not taking this bottle because you're like.
Well, no, I mean normally,
kind of,
normally shared pour, we'll just make a sticker and send it to them, and they just stick it on the bottle for us. Is that cool?
Oh yeah. We tell people to do whatever you want, and
we keep it clean. We keep it clean and legit. Nothing.
Yeah, nothing crazy. I'm picturing Scott, myself, and Darrell as pirates. Just saying off the bat.
Pirates.
Have at it.
Yeah.
Oh, Jason, you are right on that.
Oh man! All right, I think we're good to go. And I think, as you said, Jordan, we'll let you know down the line exactly once you're ready to bottle that 18 years. Shoot us a message. We'll put a quick poll out. We'll see how many we can grab for the group, and I think that'll be another hitter rum for people to add to their collection from you guys and from the Master Journey Whiskey Club. So
perfect.
Yeah, so Jordan, we really want to thank you for coming on and kind of guiding us. You definitely set us up for a good win here at the end. You knew exactly what you were doing, and it definitely showed through as we were tasting through these. So,
that you did. That you did. We were pretty much your bowling pins tonight. You just set them up and just knocked them down. So.
Well, it's funny, you know. I have a few like whiskey questions I ask people. Right, and that can kind of get me to where I think they'll like in the rum spectrum. You guys are totally predictable. I'm just going to put it out there. As soon as I said George T. Stagg, and they're like, yes, on the phone, I was like, I know exactly what they're going to like. So,
no, these were tasty for sure.
Incredible stuff. So,
all right, guys. Well,
I appreciate it, guys.
Well, to all the Master Journey members watching, you got some incredible, two incredible rums coming at you. We'll talk about the 18 years, get closer to it. Jordan, tell everyone where to find you, maybe on social media. Anyone that's looking, that wants to look into more Rolling Fork.
Sure. Rolling Fork Rum on Instagram is probably where we're the most active. We also have a website, rollingforkrum.com. I think we have actually my partner's email address is on there. So it'd be super annoying and highly hilarious to me if you guys everyone just emails him. That would make my day. So that's on our website, but I would say we're most active on Instagram. And then, as far as sales and distribution and everything, hit us up if you don't know. If you're looking for us, we'll tell you the closest place. But Steel Box and Shared Pour are good places to start. In California, K&L, High Time Wines, Bitters and Bottles and places like that. And then we do have great retailers around the country. So if you're in a state and you're unsure, hit us up and we'll tell you where's the closest store that has us.
All right. Awesome. Thanks so much, Jordan. Also, we really want to thank Darrell for coming on. I know it was a struggle for him to come on and taste all these rums.
It's super hard.
He powered through. He powered through and helped us make a good decision, which is why we wanted to have him on. Because he loves he loves rum as much as anybody. So
it was a bit of a questionable decision based on our Four Roses thing that we did. So it was a little there was a little bit of a hesitancy on my part, but you did, Darrell. You
listen,
powered
when it comes to rum versus bourbon, I'm taking Darrell over anybody. All right, guys. Thanks for watching this live stream. Thanks for
y'all.
watching.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, for the selection. And as I always say, it's not about the whiskey, it's people you share with. Keep an eye out for more news to come on these selections, and we'll see you guys real soon. So cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, everyone.